welcome to episode 3 of Connect and Grow, which is a Crossbridge podcast. I'm Michael Camarina. I'm the host of Connect and Grow, and today I have with me Viry Millan. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, Millan.
Viry Millan. Viry is actually part of our admin team down in Mexico, so it's really good to have you, Viry. I just love connecting with people, in Mexico and in Latin America. It's fun to just talk to people from a different country, different culture a little bit. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Michael. I'm so excited to be here.
Good.
Thank you for considering me for this podcast.
Of course. Yeah, I've been wanting to have you on the podcast. I just love your insight, your experience, your knowledge and wisdom. You bring so much to the table. So let's just start with you. Tell us a little bit about your background, how long you've been at Crossbridge, what you do at Crossbridge, and anything else you want to mention.
Okay. Well, my background, that's something funny because actually my school degree says that I'm an English language teacher. So you may think, what's an English language teacher doing here? But my profile was always more administrative, I used to make the plan for all the classes, check the rest of the team. So life took me to places where I had the chance to get involved into IT perspectives in software development and implementation of actual software developed by companies, etc. So based on that, I got certified in project management, Scrum Master, product ownership. And that brought me to Crossbridge almost 4 years ago, 3.5 years as a project manager. In that moment, as you already know in the first podcast when we talked with Brent, Crossbridge started as an IT company developing software for other companies. And that's what I came to the picture, managing those projects. And with time, we evolved to this new age that Crossbridge is facing, the staff augmentation. And that was a big jump. And I got to be honest to you, Michael, I've always been a bit nosy. And I like learning and knowing how things work. So I was that strange child of my parents. I was always with my dad fixing the car and asking, what's that for? And what's that for? And I did exactly the same here in Crossbridge. What happens if, and what's that for? And started making some processes that we needed. And with time, we realized that we really needed that in a wider way. Like nowadays, I'm directing the operations that go from what's happening in marketing, what's happening in sales, what's happening in talent acquisition, what happens in HR, and the different departments that we have and that get involved to deliver the service that we are providing. So that's basically how I got here and how life took me to this path. And that's basically what I'm doing here in Crossbridge. It's so exciting because I got a chance to talk to everybody, literally everybody, from the CEO to the rest of our collaborators and even to our clients. So that's something so exciting.
So you have your hands in a lot of different areas of the company, correct?
Yes, at the moment, I see my position as something like transversal, and just overseeing what's going on and how can we mitigate certain things, always taking care of our people and taking care of our clients. That's our priority as always. But of course, taking care of the company too. And we just need to get all of those things together. Good quality, on-time results, and of course, taking care of the budget always.
So you're a good person to talk to if I needed information about any component of the company. But what I wanted to talk to you particularly was kind of the cultural similarities that in the workplace culture between the United States and Mexico. And you being, I mean, you've been with Crossbridge almost since the beginning, and you're in Mexico, and you have a lot of relationships with our clients and our prospects here in the States. So you have a great perspective on that dynamic, right? So I just kind of wanted to ask you a few questions about that. So first thing, what is the, just to kind of lay the foundation here, what is the relationship between Crossbridge and our what we call collaborators or our software developers in Latin America? What does that relationship look like?
Yeah, I think that is a good match, to be honest. You have hard workers in Latin America, the same that in the US. And in this case, we also have good leadership from the US team, because most of the um, organizational team is in the US, where the company is located. And the administrative staff that we are in Mexico, we're like the link between US and the rest of the countries, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a great match because you have the chance to take the strengths from both sides and put them together for the client success, which is basically what we're looking for, to have our people in a good mood. Not, I don't like to say to keep our people happy, because happiness is more like personal thing, but we all of the time provide them with everything that is needed for them to do their job in optimal conditions. And we also do the same with our clients. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's precisely what has been a good formula in here. Um, Also, being in the same time, you know, we are like 2 hours difference from California in Mexico, or 1 hour from Mountain Time, and 2 hours from Eastern Time. So it's a great location.
Yeah.
So I think that is something really helpful for
Mm-hmm.
for Crossbridge and the rest of Latin America to get in contact.
And then you mentioned that as the admin team, you guys are kind of the link between the team that's in the States and then all of our collaborators in Latin America. So can you kind of just talk a little bit about what our business model is? So we're staff augmentation, right? So any software developer that we have working for us in Latin America, they are actually doing projects for our clients. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, and while most of the requirements, I'm not saying that all of them, are managed by their clients that are most of the time in the US.
Yeah.
So in particular cases, we have a full project management team in Mexico coordinating the project for the rest of the developers and QAs and designers, all of the teams that we have. But most of the times is in the US where all of that analysis happens. And yeah, Mexico is like the link in the moment
Mm-hmm.
for everybody in Latin America. And also our team success managers are located at this moment in Mexico. And they are the ones following up the collaborators everywhere in Latin America.
Yeah, yeah. And so our Mexican admin staff, we talked with Justin about this last time. We have team success managers who kind of handle the day-to-day operations with our collaborators as far as HR is concerned, or just making sure that they have everything they need, that they're not getting burned out and stuff like that.
Yeah, making sure that they are even taking days off, is something very particular in Latin America. We're hard workers and sometimes we tend to be workaholics. So
Mm.
we work and work and work. And I love that in here we have team success managers taking care of our people too. Like, you have not taken vacations, or you should, or take some PTOs. And even the time flexibility that we offer is so good too. Because it's not that you have to be from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. sat down in front of the computer. We work on the results, which is wonderful because that allows you more flexibility on time to go and stay with your family. That is another thing very particular in Latin America. We're very family related, and it's awesome that our collaborators reach out to the success managers and say, hey, I want to go to the festival. of my kids. And yes, no problem. Go ahead and go to the festival. So that's something so good that team success managers are always in contact with their collaborators. Some others, like me in the beginning, that I'm managing projects, the team, the development team, was also in Latin America, and I was in contact with them. And now, as director of operations, I used to be in contact with them randomly, just checking out how they are. And I think that's something well appreciated, like, I mean, we are remote, all of us are remote, and it's great to have contact, human contact with somebody else but the computer. And they really appreciate it. So it's something that I definitely love about
Yeah.
CrossFit.
Yeah, you mentioned in Mexico in particular, and pretty much in all of Latin America, there's the family component, right? That there's a lot of loyalty to family. I want to touch on that in a little bit, but first, so again, you have a unique perspective because you're in Mexico. You work with a lot of people and talk to a lot of people that are in the States. So, from your perspective, what are those similarities between the workplace culture in Latin America and the workplace culture in the States?
Well, of course, there are a lot of differences, but there are also a lot of similarities. I think in both sides river, we all are hard workers and we're very organized. And that's something that is really helpful. We are also communicative. And something that I found out to be mesmerizing is that both the US people and Latin American people were really empathetic. And I think that's clue in this kind of relationships, mainly on distance relationships, to understand that we are different, but we're also the same. That means that we don't have anything in common. And it's working so hard and so good with us that we have this empathetic situation always,
Yeah.
And as I said before, the flexibility, sometimes that's a bit difficult for Latin American people. I got to be honest to you about it. Um, Too much flexibility, and it's like, what should we do with all of this freedom?
Yeah.
Yeah. But also being this responsible in both countries, being responsible with your job, with your deliverables, and also respectful with the time of your people and the time of your clients too, as it has been key. And I think there's a lot of values that we share,
Yeah.
respect, responsibility, flexibility. We are learning on that too.
Yeah.
Flexibility, communication, and definitely empathy is something that I have found just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with all that. And that, that I'll say this, that's in stark contrast to what you would find if when you work with people maybe in India. It's just not that it's wrong or anything, but it's just a different culture. And so there's a little bit less of that compatibility, I would say, when you're working with people in Asia.
Yeah, I got a chance to work and collaborate with Indian people too. I even have Indian friends. And yes, I do find a lot of difference.
Yeah.
I think Latin America people is more like friendly,
Hmm.
and we make jokes all of the time. We like to have fun all the time. Not saying that people in Asia don't. I mean, they are really fun too. But I think that a big difference is that we do it even with people that we don't know and that
Mm.
we're not related to.
Yeah.
And they are somehow a bit more, I don't know how to call it. They socialize, but not that much like Latin American people.
Mm.
And that's, to be honest, that's really useful
Yeah.
because you easily get connected with other people.
Yeah.
And it's about to get to know each other. And Latin American people, we are not really afraid of knowing people. We are most of the times really respectful with beliefs, any social beliefs, religious beliefs, and whatever thing that is happening in everybody's mind, we are really respectful in that.
Yeah.
So that's something that is being useful for us to get
Yeah.
connected with other people.
Sure. And even just the proximity. I mean, the United States and Mexico border each other. And then Mexico borders some other countries to the south. I personally, my wife's family, there's a lot of her side of the family that are in Mexico. So we go there on average about once a year for various reasons, whether it's a birthday or wedding. We were there a couple months ago for a wedding. And there's a lot of crisscross back and forth, people crossing the border on a regular basis, on a daily basis in some cases. Funny story, the pastor at the church I go to, they moved here in 2019 from Virginia, which is over on the east coast of the United States. And there's not a whole lot of Mexican influence over there like there is in California where I'm at. And, here it's just, we're very influenced by the Mexican culture. And so my family, even though we've been here for 4 generations now, we still, every Christmas, we make tamales for Christmas. So when they first got here, that first Christmas, I gave them some tamales to eat, and said, just to kind of introduce them to the tradition. Yeah, he didn't know. He had never seen a tamale, never eaten one. He actually ate it with the corn husk still on the tamale. And he thought, this is horrible. I can't even chew this thing. He didn't know how to eat it. But now, he does. They're familiar with it. He loves tamales now, but it's just kind of a funny story. But all that to say is there is a lot of cross-cultural exchanges going on back and forth between the two regions.
And we definitely can't deny it. I mean, every movie or series that we watch in any streaming, most of them are American.
Sure, yeah.
And even, for example, I remember last year that some of our crew were really happy because Cinco de Mayo, and you were really happy, prepared to celebrate. And in Mexico, it's not something that's celebrated, to be honest. It's like, yes, we know what happened in Puebla. We remember that. And yes, it says commemoration. But you take it as a party, right?
Yeah.
You prepare tacos and guacamole.
Yeah. And cervezas.
And cervezas, yes, tequilas.
Tequilas.
And seeing your excitement for that celebration really, really motivated me. And I got my own celebration here at home with my brother and my dad.
Oh, that's awesome.
We made tacos and guacamole. So it's cool to know that our traditions are also known elsewhere and even respected. Like Dia de Muertos, that is something very particular and is similar to Halloween, and they happen even at the same times. We all celebrate Christmas and New Year's. In Mexico, for example, we don't really celebrate Thanksgiving, but it's something really well known. We know that it happens in the 4th Thursday of November. I mean, at least we know that. And I'm pretty sure the rest of Latin America does know too. And at least working in CrossReach, they get to know that. And it's cool because they also have the chance to take the day off if they want to spend it with their family. They just can take the PTO and be with them.
Yeah. Or they could even celebrate Thanksgiving in Mexico or Colombia or wherever they're at.
Yes. Actually, daily we could do that.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
I want to switch topics a little bit. So I want to talk about the talent pool in Latin America. I know that in the last probably 15 years now, there's just been a big influx of talent in Latin America. So what are you seeing as far as that goes? Are you seeing a lot of really good talent coming out of Latin America now?
Definitely yes. Definitely yes. It's not because I'm Mexican, but I know that for sure that in Latin America we have great developers. We have great IT people in any ways, not just developers, good engineers, good architects, good QAs and tester, automated QAs. I mean, there's a lot of this boom coming. And after all of this globalization and the spread of technology is demanding us to literally adapt to what is coming.
Yeah.
So our future generations, most of the most of the universities nowadays are offering IT related programs and careers. And I've got the chance to take a look, pick only to those programs, and they're quite good. Honestly, they have good materials and they're even demanding. It's not like, okay, you got an A today. No, you got an F and you got an F. And that's also something useful too, right? I mean, only those good talents get certified or get the title ETC. But going back to the people themselves, yes, as they are really hard worker and they love learning too, is something that gives us more chance to grow. And most of them, as I see the hunger of learning in them. So it's not that, okay, I'm a front end and that's it. They're always willing to learn about back end or be a full stack or move from QA to business analysis or start developing up to being business analysis. And in my case, I started that way. So I do see a good chance and a lot of opportunities in Latin America. Uh, Good talent, definitely. And if in all ages,
Yeah.
it's not like just young people. That's I would say wrong belief that most of us used to have, that is for young people, IT. And that's not true. I mean, all ages, all nationality, there's really good talent in Latin America. So yeah,
Yeah.
the answer to your question is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, in my research, I've done some research on that subject, and in fact, what I found is what you just said is that the universities, starting about 10 or 15 years ago, they really just made a big push for software talent in particular, and that's not just in Mexico, but all throughout Latin America, Costa Rica, Colombia. These countries they've been intentional about producing quality software talent. And now, since they started that, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, those people now have several years of experience under their belt. So, I mean, the talent pool throughout the region is very deep. Like you said, they're hard workers. They love to learn. One thing that you mentioned was this idea of being a very family oriented culture, right? And another thing that I've kind of learned in my research is that lends itself to loyalty, right? So since it's a family oriented culture, they tend to carry that into the workplace, and that translates into loyalty to the company. So the turnover rate, and I researched this and I read about it, but then I've also, in the time I've been at Crossbridge, I've seen it. I've seen this firsthand in Crossbridge as a company, that our collaborators, even our admin staff, are very loyal, and there's a very low turnover rate. So is that what you're seeing as well?
Yes, definitely. And that also improves good relationships and bonding within each other. It's not like, oh, you're the admin, I don't talk to you. No, I mean, doesn't matter your title.
Yeah.
We all are Crossbridge. It's the
Yeah.
same everywhere. So
Yeah.
it's like talking to your cousin. I mean, it's not your boss per se. It's your friend, and I definitely love that too. I
Yeah.
totally agree with you. It helps to bond with each other. And yes, at the end, the family values that we have at home, we bring them to the company, and they happen to be the same values that we have in the company, right?
Yeah.
Respect, responsibility, flexibility. So that's why I do believe Crossbridge is a not big, huge family that is
Yeah.
in all America. Definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And then one more quick question before we wrap it up here. So you mentioned the fact that we're all remote at Crossbridge. I mean, even our leadership team is all in Idaho. In Idaho, they're all remote as well. So I've been kind of going back and forth with this. I listen to a lot of podcasts where they debate is remote work better, worse? What are the pros and cons? And in my opinion, personally, I like being in an office. Remote is actually a little hard for me. I get motivated in an office, being with my coworkers. To me, that's just how I work. But I can see there's a lot of pros also to being remote. And so I don't know if I agree. I don't think I agree with the side that says it's definitely better for everyone to be in an office. I don't think I agree with that. So can you tell me, because I know that you're a project manager by nature. You manage people who are working remote. So I guess my question is twofold. Number one, do you see a change in productivity with people being remote? And number two, how do you guard against, maybe complacency or people not getting as much work done as they could when they're working remotely?
Well, I haven't seen that results are bad or that the productivity decreased. I think it's all about respect and trusting your team and also bonding with them. I am really transparent when talking to them and really direct, like, okay, this is what you got to do and you got to do it, right? Take it, embrace it, be responsible with it, and deliver on time. So I think that one of the pros is that as you're giving them that flexibility, that you don't need to be 24/7 in front of the computer, and the day being remote, they have the chance to go downstairs, have meal with family, and come back to work easily. That also promotes a bit the responsibility and connection. Like, okay, I got the chance to be with my family. Now how do I say that? Reciprocate. And now I get even, right? I work hard. I made my things on time because I got the chance to go and enjoy my family and my house, or even do other things, right? Because you don't spend time moving to the office and coming back.
Yeah.
However, I agree with you a little about being in the office because we need human contact.
Yeah.
I was talking with Justin precisely that we are like herd animals, that we need to move in packs. That's also needed. That's why I think these sessions with the camera turned off and just chatting and being with each other is really helpful, because even when we're not sat down next to each other, we got the chance to know our mates and to collaborate with them.
Yeah.
So I haven't really seen a decrease on the productivity, but it really demanded a bit more from the managers to take care of your people, making sure they are taking rests. As I told you, we tend to be really workaholic, so you really need to take care of the people. They are taking rests. I think that's something that we have faced more, people working and working instead of people being unresponsive or not delivering on time.
Yeah.
So I agree and disagree a little on that, but yeah, it can't be better for everybody. No, there will always be discrepancies on that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's a balance, I would say. And one thing that we do a good job just as a company, whenever we have meetings on Zoom or on Google Meet, whatever it is, we spend the first 5, maybe even 10 minutes just chatting. Yeah. Just talking about whatever, how our weekend was, or maybe some random subject that someone brought up. But yeah, just getting to know each other, socializing. I think that's really important, because when everyone's a remote, you're not sitting next to somebody and you're not able to just chat with them randomly whenever you guys have a moment. And I think that it's important for that to develop relationships so that it does feel more like a family. You're more willing to work hard for somebody that you're close to, or someone that you know, as opposed to just someone that, you see, you don't even see their face on the screen. Maybe you just see their name and a picture of them, and you can hear their voice. That's not, you don't have that connection. And so I think, there's for our listeners, if you're struggling with that, I would say my advice would be make sure that you have time, you carve out time to socialize with your coworkers or your employees, your team. Yeah. Make sure okay, how's your family doing? How are the kids? Oh, let's see pictures of your kids, right? All those things.
Yes, if you love vacations.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All those things. It's really important.
Yes, get involved, get to know your people. As I said before, doesn't matter the title, doesn't matter if you are at the top or it does not matter, definitely.
Yeah.
Just get connected to your people, bond with them, get to know them. It also helps on my side. I'm related on production, the actual operation, and it really helps you to understand that your people is going through a hard time. Of course, they're going to have a hard time too at work. So it really helps to all the company. It helps to get involved in your family. I was about to say, well, in your family's situations, of course, respecting them. Yeah. But it definitely is key in every company. Yeah. Bond with your people, communicate well, and things will go smoothly.
Yeah, I agree. And that brings us full circle back to cultural compatibility, right? You talked about communicating with your team, and we Latin Americans and Americans do that in a very similar way, which makes us very compatible. So that's perfect. That's a perfect way to end this conversation. So again, Viry, thank you so much for being on this podcast. We really I really enjoyed it. And you know what? I enjoyed it so much. I would love to have you on a future podcast if you don't mind.
It would be my pleasure. I'm a very chatty people, as you can say.
Hey, I love it. I'm chatty too.
Great. Let's have our coffee here.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah. Well, thanks again, Viry. It was fun. And we appreciate all your insight and all, your experience has given you a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, and I couldn't be more thankful for you sharing it with us today.
Very for joining me, for asking me to join to this podcast. I was really nervous, but also excited. So anytime that you want, I'm totally on it.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you, Viry. Have a good one.
Same to you.